Sunday, June 18th, reports came out that the OceanGate Titan Submersible lost contact with its surface vessel, the Polar Prince, an hour and 45 minutes after it began a dive to see the wreck of Titanic Ship in the Atlantic Ocean. Twitter and other social media channels were set abuzz with this news. The submersible had 96 hours of oxygen in case of an emergency. Time was running out. Then started a multinational search and rescue operation. But on 22nd June, the US Coast Guard confirmed to have located the debris of Titan, and all 5 on board were reported to have been dead.
This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tailcone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor.
Who were there on the submersible vessel? What could have gone wrong? There is still a lot of mystery surrounding this tragic incident. Let's try to find some answers today. OceanGate is a company that provides services like dives into the ocean to places like the Titanic shipwreck site in submersibles for a price. OceanGate's founder and CEO, Stockton, who unfortunately perished in the Titan incident on the 22nd, founded the company in 2009. An aerospace engineer studied at the Princeton University, Rush offered rich people this unique expedition opportunity for $250,000 or close to 2 crore rupees per person. OceanGate has 3 submersibles, Antipodes, Cyclops 1 and Titan. Antipodes can go up to 305 meters or 1000 feet. Cyclops 1 can go up to the depths of 500 meters or 1640 feet. And Titan can go up to 4000 meters or 13,123 feet. All of them can carry 5 people. Apart from Titanic, they offer Bahamas, Azores, and bespoke expeditions. The Titan had been on expedition to the Titanic shipwreck site twice before, first in 2021, then in 2022. Titanic Expedition means a visit to the shipwreck site of the Titanic ship, the same Titanic ship that sank in 1912 after striking a giant iceberg during her maiden voyage from Southampton in England to New York in the US. The Titanic wreck lies some 700 km south of St. John's, Newfoundland in the North Atlantic Ocean. The adventure tourists reach the location on an oil-rigged service ship. This ship acts as the mothership for the submersible vessel. As you know, submersibles are not fully autonomous like submarines. They use buoyancy control to move vertically in the water. GPS does not work underwater, as the electromagnetic signals from the orbiting satellites in space get damped in water, which is why the surface ship guides the submersible by sending text messages. Now the submersible vessel is launched on a platform which is towed behind the mothership Polar Prince. Then Titan detaches from the platform and the submersible command module takes over. After completion of its mission, it then comes back to the platform and reattaches underwater and then surfaces again. Now if we see the vessel itself, it was unusual in its design. The vessel utilized 5-inch thick carbon fiber, capped on each end by a dome of titanium and a glass viewport to look outside. There are thrusters attached for the submersible to maneuver. Typically such deep sea vessels are designed in a spherical shape to distribute the pressure evenly, but OceanGate went for a cylindrical design in order to accommodate more people inside. On the inside, it was more peculiar and outlandish. On one end, it had a toilet and a viewport with a screen for separation. There were no seats on the submersible. Passengers had to sit on the floor. There was one single push start-stop button like in a car and multiple screens to display information. And the most bizarre part is the submersible was controlled by this gaming controller, which has been identified by gaming enthusiasts as this particular model by Logitech, which usually costs around 2-3,000 rupees. Like a typical joystick, you move the stick to go forward, backward, up or down. Now coming back to the expedition itself. The 2023 Titanic Expedition started on 18th June, around 9:30 in the morning, with 5 persons on board. It was launched from the launch platform. As explained earlier, it was in contact with the mothership Polar Prince for guidance. However, after 1 hour and 45 minutes, the mothership lost all contacts with the submersible. But the crew on the mothership still believed that the submersible would come back on its own, and the passengers would be fine, as there was 96 hours of oxygen for the travelers. The vessel would have reached 8,750 feet before losing contact. Now try to imagine the plight of the passengers, sitting inside a closed vessel bolted from the outside, deep in the ocean, where even sunlight doesn't reach, and disconnected entirely from the outside world. Also, try to imagine the depth at which the Titanic shipwreck lies. Specifically, it lies on the ocean floor at around 12,500 feet or 3,810 meter deep. This extreme form of adventure was taking place 3.8 km deep inside the ocean. Now let's try to make sense of this mind-boggling depth with this graphic by Popular Mechanics. 0 to 656 feet is called the sunlight zone. Then 656 feet to 3280 feet or 1 kilometer is called the twilight zone. 1083 feet is the height of the Eiffel Tower, and 1090 feet is the world's deepest human scuba dive record. 1650 feet to 3300 feet is where giant squids live. Then from 3281 feet to 13,123 feet or 4 km lies the midnight zone, where sunlight doesn't reach. 3396 feet is the deepest military submarines have reached. At the bottom of the ocean, at around 12,500 feet, lies the wreck of Titanic. By 4:30 p.m., the submersible should have completed its mission and come back, but there was no sign of the vessel. Then the team on the mothership decided to inform the US Coast Guard regarding the incident at around 7 p.m. Then starts a massive multinational search and rescue operation to locate the missing submersible. Military and commercial ships, P-8 Poseidon submarine hunters, research vessels equipped with underwater robots by teams of US, Canada and France were utilized to locate the submersible. A unified command was established and a particular search area was focused where the submersible lost contact. Time was running out and conflicting information regarding the operation were coming out. There was a small 96-hour window since the expedition started, after which oxygen would run out and the passengers inside would die, as the vessel was bolted from the outside and there was no way for them to open it from the inside. On 20th June, sonobuoys launched from the Canadian P-3 aircraft picked up banging noises in 30 minutes intervals, but the exact source of the sound could not be identified. The search operation was quite challenging, given a vast area was to be scouted for a 22-feet submersible. Finally, on 22nd June, this ROV Pelagic Research Services, launched from the Canadian ship Horizon Arctic, discovered the debris of Titan submersible, about 1600 feet from the bow of the Titanic wreck on the ocean floor. The US Coast Guard conducted a press conference to confirm the events.
In consultation with experts from within the Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. Upon this determination, we immediately notified the family.
All 5 on board the submersible lost their lives. The debris has now been recovered, and further investigation is underway to identify the exact reason of this accident. But primary investigation suggests a failure of the pressure hull could have caused it. As you know, pressure increases as you go deeper into the sea. For every 10 meters you go down, the pressure increases by 1 atmosphere. You might ask, how do the organisms that live under the sea survive then? Because their body structure is made like that. Whales, for example, have bendable cartilage to withstand such high pressure. In the case of submersibles, to withstand such high pressure, high quality alloys are used, like titanium. The Titan could have imploded due to high pressure. Implosion is the exact opposite of explosion. In implosion, the object collapses inwards due to high inward pressure. At the depth where the Titanic rests, the pressure is approximately 394 kg per centimeter square, which is nearly 380 times more than the atmospheric pressure. The vessel could have collapsed in about 1 millisecond, or a thousandth of a second, while a human brain responds to a stimulus at about 25 milliseconds. Unfortunately, 5 precious lives were lost in this catastrophic event. Who were the 5 passengers on board the Titan on that fateful day? The first one was Stockton Rush, the 61-year-old founder and CEO of OceanGate. Second was 58-year-old British pilot, businessman and adventurer, Hamish Harding. Hamish had visited the South Pole several times, went to space, had been to the Challenger Deep, the deepest part of the ocean at Mariana Trench, and held 3 Guinness World Records. Third was Paul Henry Nargiole, a 77-year-old former French Navy diver and renowned explorer. He had dived 37 times to the Titanic shipwreck and was known as Mr. Titanic. The fourth and fifth passengers were 48-year-old British-Pakistani billionaire businessman Shehzada Daud and his 19-year-old son Suleiman. There are so many things that could have gone wrong in this accident, but there were serious lapses in safety of the submersible. The design itself, incorporating carbon fiber, was not necessarily wrong, but the use of 3 different materials like carbon fiber, titanium and glass that have different molecular structure and physical and chemical properties, it was bound to have structural issues. Second, there were serious cost-cutting measures applied, including the 3,000 rupees gaming controller to steer the vessel. Third, the submersible vessel was not approved or certified by any regulatory body, mainly because it primarily operates in international waters and the government regulations there are a bit sketchy. There is no doubt Stockton Rush was an excellent engineer. He designed and flew his aeroplanes, and he had vast experience in designing submersibles. He was sure about the important parts of the submersible being rock solid in design and construction, but his attitude towards safety was clearly callous.
I'd like to be remembered as an innovator. I think it was General MacArthur said, "You're remembered for the rules you break." And I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. The carbon fiber and titanium, there's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did.
Employees were fired for raising safety concerns, and Rush didn't care for the submersible to be safety certified.
At some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to take some risk, and it really is a risk-reward question. I said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules.
This is a terrible tragedy. 5 people losing their lives, including a father taking his son to see the Titanic, is truly heartbreaking. May God rest their souls. Thanks for showing interest in this video. Please do consider liking, sharing and subscribing the channel. Leaving you with the poignant words of accomplished filmmaker James Cameron, drawing parallel between the Titanic and Titan incident.
I think there's a great, almost surreal irony here, which is Titanic sank because the captain took it full steam into an ice field at night on a moonless night with very poor visibility. After he had been repeatedly warned by telegram, by Marconigram, by radio, during the day, that's what was ahead of him.